Got
So, for our senior project, we decided to do a project based on discrimination. And for our Do Something piece, we decided to target something that was close to me, which was male nursing, and try and bring some focus to that, and try and get more kids involved in that. And so we're going to start out today with a little bit of comedy. And we're going to start it out with a video that me and Matt made. And I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, you actually beat them on that, right? Okay, so, any thoughts on male nursing? Hey, come back here! Sorry, what? Okay. Come back here! Where's the trigger? Where's the trigger? There! No goodies tonight. I got it.
Yeah, he's alright. He's got some serious lacerations and a contusion, but I think he'll live.
A male nurse? Where?
Yeah, I make up 6% of all the nurses in America.
Dude, keep going.
Oh man.
Oh, well, that's Batman's way.
I know, you can't even count on him. He was gonna leave you here dead if I hadn't come find you.
It's kind of unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I only lost an eye, so let's see what we can get out of this.
Alright, I'll help you out. Steady? Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so we've got a little bit of interview time left. Cameraman back there is a total jerk right now. Okay, yes. So, tell me about being a male nurse.
Well, you see, I decided to become a male nurse because there were a lot of opportunities available to me. I got a lot of scholarships because I count as a minority. Only 6% of nurses in America are males, and so they try and give out scholarships to help encourage participation. It was also really easy for me to find a job once I started.
God bless that equal opportunity act, man.
You have to respect it. Now, if you want to be a male nurse, or just a nurse in general, talk to any of your career counselors around here, talk to your guidance counselors, or talk to Miss Arnold in the CNA room. That's a class in the tech center if you haven't heard of it. You have to be a junior to take it though. But anybody can take it after you're a junior, male or female.
And remember, guys, apple a day, keep that crazy old horseman away.
And so I figured if I was going to bring you in here, you might as well get some comedy. But I didn't want to just do comedy. I wanted to talk about something serious. And so I figured I'd bring up the fact that discrimination isn't just, as it used to be. It's not just education holding the slaves back. It's not unionization like it used to be. It's not the glass ceiling where just because you're a woman you can't advance. But it's also gender roles, and that also prohibits people from moving on. And it stops them from doing what they want because they don't feel they belong in a certain field. And I don't think a lot of people realize how serious it was. So I wanted to play a video that showed when Hillary Clinton was a presidential candidate hopeful, and what happened when people decided that because she was a woman, she wasn't ready to be president.
Senator Clinton has received her fair share of the blame, and so has her political team. But like her or not, one of the great lessons of that campaign is the continued and accepted role of sexism in American life, particularly in the media.
She was calm, she was charming, her hair looked, just to be cosmetic, her hair looked great, she looked great.
Stories about her showing a little bit of cleavage on the floor of the U.S. Senate.
And I believe we actually have a split screen of the two women, and you can see there is a big difference between what Jackie Smith was wearing on with big copper barrel. There we go.
So if you look at the calculation that goes into everything that Hillary Clinton does, for her to argue that she was not aware of what she was communicating by her dress is like Barry Bonds saying he thought he was rubbing down with flaxseed oil, okay?
You all saw the famous photo from the weekend of Hillary looking so haggard and looking like 92 years old. If that's the face of experience, I think it's going to scare away a lot of those independent voters from the
Chelsea's sort of being pinned down in some weird sort of which Hillary Clinton's going to show up. In the last few days, we've just about seen it all. At Thursday's debate in Austin, Texas, Clinton showed a softer side. A couple of days later, she morphed into a scolding mother, talking down to her child.
Saying it for once, men won't vote for Hillary Clinton because she reminds them of their nagging wives.
When Barack Obama speaks, men hear, take off for the future. And when Hillary Clinton speaks, men hear, take out the garbage.
When she raises her voice, and a lot of women do, you know, as I say, it reaches a point where every husband in America has heard it one time or another.
When she reacts the way she reacts to Obama, just the look to her, looking like everyone's first wife standing outside the probate court.
Let me tell you how short Hillary's leash is. She said, you'll have to ask my husband.
But she said, you don't know how I feel.
You're a guy going door to door trying to sell something, and she said, you'll have to wait for my husband to get home. Let's not forget, and I'll be brutal, the reason she's a U.S. Senator, the reason she's a candidate for president, the reason she may be a front runner is her husband messed around.
Yeah.
That's how she got to be Senator of New York. We keep forgetting it. She didn't win there on the merit.
It cries. After spending decades stripping away all trace of emotion, femininity, and humanity, Hillary Clinton actually broke down and actually cried yesterday on the campaign trail.
There was a column in the New York Times not too long ago where it talks about some of the humor in the campaign, and the punchline was a line that Hillary Clinton was a white bitch. You couldn't say that. I mean, that is acceptable about a woman. You couldn't say the equivalent thing about a man, and I mean about a black person, and I think it's appalling.
She's dead wrong, and I think she thinks her problem is she's a woman. Her problem is she's Hillary Clinton. And some women, by the way, are named that, and it's accurate.
Look, I mean,
But look, she's very good at playing the professional victim until she gets up close and then can put a knife in your ribs. There's no weakness in this one.
Don't forget that here, Doug. What do you think they're saying about Hillary? I know, but that is so perfect. As I have often said, when she gets on television, I involuntarily cross my legs. I know you do.
Is she going to try to straight thing, or if he gets in there, is she going to say you may be there in form, you're not there in fact? I can see her in there. Give me a pack of cool cigarettes, will you?
She's saying that the whole problem with her campaign is due to sexism.
She can't
And
say
it isn't. Clearly, she had many problems in this campaign. But was there sexism and is there sexism in the coverage of her? You bet.
So, I hope every woman feels at least a little bit appalled that you're not viewed as ready to be a president just because you're a woman, that when you go to speak, you're heard as a nagging wife. And I hope that kind of demonstrates how gender barriers prohibit everyone from doing what they want. And I think a lot of people think that because we're in the U.S., we're a little bit better off, but let's talk about Hillary Clinton a little more. When she was a little girl, she wanted to be an astronaut. In 1961, between that and 1962, she wrote a letter to NASA, and she wanted to know how she could be an astronaut. Well, they wrote back and they said, women can't be astronauts. A year later, the Soviet Union put the first woman astronaut into space in 1963. That was, I don't know how to say her name at all, so I'm not even going to try. But don't assume because you're in America you have it better, because facts dictate, and it's really not that much better. And if you don't think discrimination is powerful, then I'll let John Lewis, he's an American representative, a U.S. representative for Georgia right now, and I'll let him tell you how powerful discrimination really can be.
40 years ago, just this week, 13 of us met in Washington, D.C. to go on something called a Freedom Ride. 7 whites and 6 blacks. In 1961, I was 21 years old, a few pounds lighter, had all my hair. And I will never forget when we left Washington on May 4th, to travel through Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, through Georgia, into Alabama. Well, the bus was burned outside of Anderson, Alabama, between Atlanta and Birmingham, when an angry mob met us at the Greyhound bus station in Montgomery. And we were beaten. Later, a day later, we went to a little church called First Baptist Church on Ripley Street, passed by Reverend Ralph Avenue, for Mass meeting that Sunday night. An angry mob marched on the church and tried to burn or bomb the church, burn cars on the outside. President Kennedy federalized the Alabama National Guard, placed the city of Montgomery under martial law. And the freedom rides continued into the city of Jackson, where we were arrested, in jail. We filled the city jail, the county jail, and Hines County Jail in Jackson. And later we were transported to the state penitentiary at Parchment. The freedom rides of 1961, 40 years ago, led to the desegregation of public transportation all across the South. So we've come a distance. Now, no doubt on this trip, probably heard some people say nothing has changed. But sometime, and I hear some young people say it today, nothing has changed. But I feel like saying to some, come and walk in my shoes, and I'll show you things have changed.
So it doesn't really relate to gender roles, but it does show you what discrimination can do against a lot of people. Imagine getting on a bus, and because you're on that bus, because you're the wrong color, that bus was burnt down, you're beaten. So you try and go to church and relax. People show up outside your church, try and firebomb your church, burn a cross in front of you saying because you're the wrong color, you don't get these rights. It's the same type of thing that Hillary Clinton experienced being a woman. Because she's a woman, she can't be president. And I figure if I'm going to get up here, I'm not going to leave any group out. And so I want to bring up gay rights and the fight for equal treatment. And so in my first clip, I've got Ellen DeGeneres here. And I figure everybody loves Ellen, so you'll like this.
Hit the little play button from there. Back it up a little bit. Scroll it back. Not here.
Technical difficulties. Yellow.
Illegally registered me, but yeah, so I'm obviously excited, and to me this is, only fair and only natural, and what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are that I think that people should be able to enter into legal agreements, and I think that that is something that we should encourage, particularly in the case of insurance and other areas, decisions that have to be made. I just believe in the being status of marriage between man and woman, and I know that we have a respectful disagreement on that issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that it is looked at, and some people are saying the same, that blacks and women did not have the right to vote. I mean, women just got the right to vote in 1920, blacks didn't have the right to vote until 1870, and it just feels like there's this old way of thinking that we are not all the same. We are all the same people. You're no different than I am. Our love is the same. To me, what it feels just, you know, I will speak for myself. It feels when someone says you can have a contract and you'll still have insurance and you'll get all that, it sounds to me like saying, well, you can sit there, you just can't sit there. That's what it sounds like to me. It feels like, it doesn't feel inclusive. It feels isolated. It feels like we are not, you know, we aren't owed the same things and the same wording. So,
Well, I've heard you articulate that position in a very eloquent fashion. We just have a disagreement, and I, along with many others, wish you every happiness.
thank you. So you'll walk me down the aisle? Is that what you're saying? My hope is someday it won't be called a contract, it'll be called marriage. But anyway, so, all right, then we'll come back to the audience and can ask some questions. We'll get finished.
I really like your comment, you know, you can sit there, you just can't sit here, because it really shows that discrimination is discrimination on any front, whether it's between because you're a man, because you're a woman, because you're gay, because you're black. And of course you have to have a reason why you allow these things to go on. And so I want to play one clip that I was really hesitant on putting in here because it does reference the Bible. And I'm not down talking the Bible in any way. I'm just saying that everyone deserves equal rights. And I figure with 4 days left, you know, what did I really have to lose by standing up here and saying something?
Good evening. My name is the Reverend Dr. Phil Snyder. I was born and raised in Springfield, Missouri, and I stand before you this evening in support of this ordinance. I worry about the future of our city. Any accurate reading of the Bible should make it clear that gay rights goes against the plain truth of the Word of God. As one preacher warns, man in overstepping the boundary lines God has drawn by making special rights for gays and lesbians has taken another step in the direction of inviting the judgment of God upon our land. This is but another stepping stone.
That's the only part I wanted to really show, was the part where he says, we've invited the judgment of God upon our land by allowing men and men to marry, by allowing women and women to marry. We've said, God, come down and judge us. Now, I am religious, but I think that if at any point we invited God to judge us, I don't think it was by allowing two people to marry each other. I think it might be the mass genocide of the races. I think it might be the indoctrination of the races. I think it might be slavery. If you don't think any of those things take a precedent above gay marriage, and that by allowing two people who love each other to get married, we've invited God to judge us and not based on those things, then I'm going to say that we have to respectfully agree to disagree. And this is our last slide for today, and since I've done all the talking, I'll let my partner talk a little bit.
Probably not going to read this word for word, 'cause I've never seen this slide before. All right, but calm down, people. I'm pretty sure I can get the gist. Johnson, come on. Let me talk.
I'm with you, Matt.
Just take it. Relax. All right, but it's about changing things. Okay, yeah. As a generation, we are closer to being more equal than we've been before. As the one guy who wrote one of the Freedom's Rights said, things have in fact changed, and they've gotten a little bit better in some cases, and probably a little worse in others, because now people are sneaky about their discrimination. They just pretend that it's not there, and to themselves and to everybody else, which is just plain unfortunate. And that's about it I know now.
So, in conclusion, discrimination is discrimination no matter what way you look at it, no matter how you personify it, whether it's racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's how one person's supposed to have one job, one person's supposed to have another. And, I mean, this is our last year here, guys. And then we're going to be adults, we're going to be voting, we're going to be the people that are gonna make the changes out in today's society. And so I just wanted to bring all of this to your guys' attention, because if you choose to ignore it, things are gonna get worse, they're not gonna get better. You have to go out and you have to try and make a difference. And that's why our senior project was titled Let Nothing Stop Us.
We got any questions?
Any questions?
Do you guys have any programs within your school? Just like in my high school, we had like the Gay Straight Alliance. We also kind of football, we had like peer mediation, anything like that.
Just this year, we started an LBJT Alliance group that was started by Ms. Heff, and it just opened this year and became big in our school. There's been ones with campus and high school kids were included in that because there wasn't one at the high school, but now there is one. And a lot of the kids talk about when they went in there, the first thing that they did was an opening story about themselves. And they talk about just the constant harassment they face on a daily basis just because their sexual orientation doesn't match the majority of places.
And you said that this group is pretty popular within the school?
There's probably about 15 members out of our graduating class. There's probably like 300 kids in our graduating class. And so it kind of shocks me to think that, only 15 kids, put their name on a list that said, I support equality.
It's pretty cool. You say that, I think when I was a junior, senior in high school, we implemented this program. This is back in like 2008 when I'm bringing, at least to my attention, this stuff. And these gay rights were coming to everyone else's collective attention. And yeah, it was kind of a shame to see only 6, 7 kids really sign up for this program. So it's really cool.
Any other questions? That's a good question.
Yeah. Anybody seen any of John McCain's debates? Is he really that out of his job? Because that was just Russian, and that was terrible. He didn't have anything. I just disagree. I don't have the same beliefs that you do. I don't have any reason for it.
I think that I'm actually a pretty big John McCain fan. I don't know if I would classify myself as a Republican, but I think he, as a rule, is usually pretty great. I think that he knew he was probably outgunned with Ellen DeGeneres, and I think that he has a right to his opinion as well.
That's right.
So
Everyone has a right to their opinion. I'd agree to that. But when your opinion stops other people from having their rights, then your opinion steps over.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I know. It's many people.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that he said everybody has the right to, has legal rights.
Yep.
And I think that that's an important distinction that maybe he's making. I think as a rule, Republicans aren't in favor of gay marriage, and so maybe that's his way of supporting it in a different way. I don't know, and I'm not trying to defend him. I just.
Especially, Ellen's fans.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Right.
at all.
Right.
Well, I just had a question, I guess, kind of to you two, but I guess we can open up to the whole class if you want, because you guys are all seniors, and you're kind of at the end of one point in your life where you're about to make a new transition, whether that be to college or, like you said, you're really entering the adult world. And like college and adult life, at least, what I've experienced since I've been out of high school, there's a lot of things that are similar to high school, but then there's a lot of things that are different. So with that being said, I'm just kind of curious to see what ideas you have or what you guys plan to do to kind of promote this inclusion of all groups and this inclusion of all people, and how you can kind of stand up to discrimination and injustice, and kind of how you can make a difference in other people's lives and your community around you.
Well, I think the old saying stands true. You have to think globally and act locally.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see it in front of you, then you have to stand up and do something about it. You can't let discrimination just go by. And you also have to think when people are running for the different offices, what their positions are on these things and what they've thought about those things. And you have to vote according to that. And I think that's the fastest way to implement change. You can go on different marches for equalities. I mean, everybody's heard of the LBJT marches. They're huge. So I think, you know, no matter what you do, you just have to stand up in the face of discrimination. You can't just turn a blind eye to it.
Awesome, great presentation.
Thank you.
Do you want to just share quickly what you did, what your do something piece of this was?
The do something piece is the first video we played that me and Matt made. That video will go through the oil spill and be played for everyone to watch, and that one encourages people to be active participants in the nursing class, encourages more male nursing. And so, well, I figured with our presentation, I wanted to get up and actually say something if I was going to be subjugating everyone to my voice.
I have a Morgan Freeman quote, I think, that sort of goes with your question. He was being interviewed and about Black History Month, and he's like, dude, don't you think that they deserve it? A month all about, you know, them to even up all the years of discrimination. And he's like, do you get a History Month about your race? And the guy's like, no, but all this discrimination, man. And he's like, how do you get discrimination to stop if you don't do something about it? He's like, stop talking about him. Shoot, did you already know that? Because now I feel silly going.
Oh, no, I mean, I've heard it before, but yeah, that's a great perspective.
Thank you.
Else?